Good morning, cubies and newbies. I am Sunshine. I am ABCube tutor, and this is the method for solving Rubik. This is the newbie method for solving every complexity Rubik's cube. Just two formulas: one's 4 moves, one's 8 moves, and with that you can set any complexity Rubik's cubes solved to right with the all of the colors on one corner, one side, if that's what you wish to do. The ABCube, you can find me on speedsolving.com. You can find me on Wikipedia, YouTube, here at Twitch. My website is on Wix. There's a typo here. It says www. It's supposed to be a dot, not a comma. www.abcube.how is my website. Also abcubemethod.com. It's also me. So good morning. I am back. I took a couple weeks off because of a fall and where I was away from my computer, but I'm back. Visiting with my grandbabies, I learned a new definition for speed solving. The 3-year-old had the 2x2, and the 1-year-old had the void cube carrying it around and just the right size for a little hand to hold on to. And they would twist it, and then they'd bring it back to me, and I'd have a few seconds before they got bored with me having the cube and wanted it again and would take it away from me, so I had to try to solve the cube during the brief time that the kids would let me have it in my hand. And that was fun. So good morning. It's Monday. It's a new week, brand new week. The 3-year-old learned Formula A. Not Formula B, but Formula A, and on the 2x2, that's enough to give you one side solved, not one layer, but one side solved, and oh, he had so much fun with that. He'd pick a color, and I'd walk him through it, and he'd run into his mommy, Mommy, look, I did orange! Mommy, look, I did blue! So, he's well on his way to cubing. The 1-year-old is learning how to twist and learning colors, so she's right on track as well. All right. Formula A and Formula B. Formula A is 4 moves. If you look at the formulas, they're mathematical zeros. They're commutators. For every up, there's a down. For every left, there's a right. So the sum of that is that it will only move the pieces you want to move. It's not going to mess up the rest of the cube. And because of that, you don't have to memorize, when you're learning the regular method, the regular beginner's method, or any other method, you have to memorize the algorithm. It's kind of a recipe of moves, the algorithm. And you also have to memorize what that algorithm does and in what order to use the algorithm, so you're not messing up other things. Because B will only move 3 pieces and only 3 pieces, it doesn't matter whether you're doing. It doesn't matter whether you're working on the first 3 pieces you want to move around or the last 3 pieces you want to move around. You're only going to move the pieces that need to be moved, and you're not going to mess up anything that you've already done. So order of operations doesn't matter. That being said, I do the order of operations. I do corners first, and then because the corners every cube has 8 corners, regardless of which cube you're working on, whether it's the void cube, whether it's the 3x9, they all have 8 corners, and you can always start with your 8 corners. So that's what I do. And then the 8 corners for the 2x2 is solved, and for everything else, it dictates what color that side, that face is going to be. And so the next step then is that I place the edges in between the colors where they belong. And I leave the centers for the last rather than working around the centers, which became the thing to do back in the 80s because we only had the 3x3 and the center pieces could not move relative to each other. Because it's one solid piece inside. When the 4x4 came along, that was no longer an issue, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we still worked around the centers. One of the reasons why I do the centers last, however, instead of doing the reduction method, is because of parities. And the cube is inherently honest, and the parity, like I said, formula B moves 3 pieces around. A parity is when it looks like there's only 2 pieces to move that need to be switched and everything else is correct. However, like I said, the cube B and other algorithms always move 3 or more pieces around. So if there's only 2 if it looks like there's 2, whether they're side by side or opposite each other or on different faces, anytime it looks like there's only 2 pieces, 2 edge pieces or 2 corner pieces, then that is a lie. The third piece is that you can't see is the piece that you can't see. So if you move the center, one of the center rows a quarter turn in either direction that touches the parity, it has to touch the parity, use that a quarter turn and then solve the edges in that state, and the parity has dissolved, and it does affect the centers, however. So if I do the centers last, the fact that it affects the centers doesn't matter to me because I haven't done them yet. so it's no inconvenience. All right, enough talk. Let's solve some cubes. I like the 4x4. I don't have any favorite patterns for scramble. If anyone does, they're welcome to tell me them. But just scramble, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, formula A and formula B is all you need to do to solve every cube. For the 2x2, it's just the corners. The 3x3 adds the edges in the absolute center. The 4x4 adds side edges and diagonal centers, and then the 5x5 and larger add obliques centers as well. But beyond that, beyond the 5x5, bigger does not mean harder. And the thing is that beyond the 2x2, bigger does also not mean harder, because formula A brings the color to the top, formula B moves 3 pieces around, and that's all you need to do. So let's start with our yellow. I'll find a piece I'll find a piece, and then I'll make the rest of the cube match that because I selected that piece. So I'm going to, first thing to do is bring yellow to the top on all 4 corners. We're ignoring everything but the corners. We're only looking at the corners. So the first thing to determine is there a yellow? This yellow, I'm starting with this one, so this one's correct. I look at this corner, the top front right corner, and is there a yellow somewhere on this corner? If there is, we proceed to formula A. If there's not, we look to the bottom. Is there a yellow somewhere in this corner? Because formula A is going to switch these 2 back and forth and flip them as it goes around. And so as long as there's my desired color on one of these 2 cubes, then formula A is going to bring it to the top. If not, I can do formula A till the cows come home and it won't matter because I didn't have my color here. So I rotate the bottom by quarter turns until the answer is yes. So there is either a yellow here or here. And then formula A is 1 row, 1 column. And do you have any questions, comments, or queries, posers? Want to tell me your favorites of something? Hit it in chat. I'm happy to. I like chatting more than I like monologuing. And I like teaching more than I like demonstrating, so hit me up with your questions. So there's a yellow in one of these 2 spots, and so formula A is going to bring it to the top. We've got the bottom row and we've got the right-hand column. And so we move this piece away from the action. We move the space down. We move the piece into the space and the piece in the space back up again. And then we check, is the yellow on top? No, not yet. So we continue. We keep doing more. Out, down, in, up. Now, 6 times will get you back to however you began, so it's going to be less than 5 times or less, because automatically. When your color's on top, slide the top row only to move that out of the way and continue working on this piece. Again, formula A, if my color is here or here, formula A will bring it to the top. So out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up, and keep going, out, down, in, up, keep going, out, down, in, up. Now, I'm ignoring everything but the corners, and I'm ignoring everything but yellow. So yellow's on top, slide it out of the way. Don't turn the cube, because farther you get farther along, that'll mess up your bottom. And so we rotate the top, and then there's a yellow here or here. Formula A will bring it to the top. And when the yellow is on top, that's our first step. Then the next step is because we've only been looking at yellow. Now each corner has 3 colors, so we're going to look at the other colors of that. And excuse me, my okay, so now we look at side colors, and we're only looking at the corners. Okay, so red does not equal orange, blue does not equal green, red does not equal orange, blue does not equal green. Now, when you get to this step, when the color is on top and you're checking the sides, one of 3 things has to happen. It can't be other than that, unless you've been peeling stickers off. Either all of the side corners are correct to each other, or none of them are correct to each other, or one of them is correct to each other. You can't have 2 that are correct. You can't because of the mechanics of the cube. So when all of them are correct to each other, you proceed to the next step. When none of them are correct to each other, it doesn't matter which way you hold the cube to do the next step, because the end result, you're gonna do it twice. I'm gonna do Formula B and bring use A to bring the yellow to the top, and because none of them are matching, B is gonna move 3 pieces around, and the result of that is going to be that after I do this step, one side will match. And when one side's matching, you hold it away. We'll get to that point. So none of the sides are matching, so it doesn't matter how I hold the cube. And we're going to Formula B is the top row and 2 columns. And we're working on the corners, so we're using the outside columns. Okay, so top row, 2 columns. And we go slide first up, reverse second up, slide down, reverse down. Okay, you notice every other move is horizontal. Every other horizontal is the reverse of the one before it, and then there's an up and up and then a down and a down. So it's a mathematical 0, and this piece stayed the same, and these pieces moved, and so it looks like I've lost my yellows, but I haven't. I'm going to do Formula A to bring them back to the top again. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Yellow's on top, slide it out of the way and continue with this corner. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Yellow's on top, slide it out of the way, continue with this corner. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Okay, yellow's on top again. We check the sides, and like I said before, we had none matching. Now we're going to have one side matching. It's the green, because orange does not equal blue, red does not equal orange, blue does not equal red, but one side matches. Okay, which means that these 2 would be a parity if the rest of the cube were solved. So yes, we could just solve it with a quarter turn, but I'm going to do it using Formula B and Formula A to let it happen naturally, because that's how I teach the new beginners. So headlights matching sides to the back, and Formula B again. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and Formula A to bring the yellow to the top. Slide the top to protect it. Continue with this one. Slide the top to protect it. Continue with this one. And now they all match. The sides match the tops. No, the sides of the the sides of the corners match each other. So these four yellow corners are correct to each other, and then the second four corners are done the exact same way. so we put the yellow down, and we do the same thing with the white. And again, A is going to bring the color to the top, B will move pieces around if needed, and then the corners will be done. So I'll do that. Okay, the first thing you have to determine is what color is opposite yellow, and on standardized cubes that's white, but not all cubes are standardized colors, so you have to just look and see which color it is common to all four corners, and because of the mechanics of the cube, it will not be a color that's touching your yellow. So white it is. None of them are on top, so I'll just pick a side. Going to formula A will bring the white to the top. Now, again, let me show you what I'm doing. So we got down and up. I'm going to keep doing this till the white comes to the top. And then I'm not turning the cube, because that will mess up the bottom. I'm rotating just the top layer to protect this cube, move it out of the way, and I continue my formula A on this cube until all of the whites are on top. And you don't have to know it, but that's going to be a multiple of 6 times because of the mechanics of the cube, and 6 formula A's does not mess up the bottom. So the first 4 corners that we've worked at are not going to be affected. It's going to look like it's affected. If I look at it now, it's like, oh no, I've messed up the bottom. But we don't look at it now. We've abandoned the yellow because it's going to take care of itself, and I slide the white over to protect it. And when I've got the white on top on all 4 sides, if I then look at the bottom, I can see that the yellows have stabilized. They've resolved themselves. So formula A and formula B done in this method is not going to mess up anything you've already done, except for the centers if you're fixing a parity, which is not done with A and B. It's done with a single quarter turn, so it stands. So white's on top, yellows are still happy, white's on top. Check the sides. Green does not equal red, blue does not equal green, red does not equal blue, but orange equals orange. So in this case, in the first case we had none that matched. In this case we have one that matches, so it goes facing away from you. And you do formula B with the top row outside columns, and then A to bring the color back to the top, and they will match. So slide up, slide down, and we don't turn the cube. We go right into formula A to bring our white to the top, out, down, and up. Slide the top to protect it, keep going. Again, if we look at the yellows now, they'll look confused. So we don't look at them until we got the white on top on all 4 corners. And now the whites back on top, the sides of the corners match each other, and as necessary slide the top until the top and bottom corners match, and now all 8 corners are correct to each other. Boom. And again, once you've when I'm teaching in real life, I'd say, okay, great, now do it on this one, now do it on this one. Okay, now scramble it and do it again. I get them completely comfortable with the corners before we move on to the next step. Because because A is the shortest one, easiest to remember, but B is the one done the most times, and so there's the most repetition, and so you get muscle memory going pretty quickly with your B. So, and once you have A and B, that's all you need to solve the entirety of the cube, because all you're doing is 1 row and 2 columns. And the 2 columns that you use determine which pieces are moving. So you don't have to memorize these 2 columns does this thing. You just have to pick a piece that you want to move, such as, we're going to move this one. Okay, let's say I want to move this edge piece to the side. Okay, again, it's going to be 1 row and 2 columns. And the 2 columns are going to be where I want the cube to land and where the cube is to begin with. So if I want the cube to land here and begin here, these are my 2 columns. If I want the cube to land over here, then these are my 2 columns. And we ignore the other one. So we're always using only 2 columns, the top row and 2 columns for formula B. So for example, let's show you what this does. Slide first up, back, second up, slide first down, back, second down, and it moved exactly 3 pieces around. 3 pieces and only 3 pieces around. Okay. Kitty, don't knock that over. Kitty, kitty! All right, what did we learn? Okay. I'm going to show you, if I want this to go the opposite direction, same thing. You start by moving, it's going to land here, so you start by moving it away from where it wants to land. So you go away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down, and that moved these 3 pieces around. Okay. I'm going to do it again. So corners line up to the front. You determine which direction it wants to go. It wants to go into the blue direction, so it's going over here. So these are my 2 columns. Slide up, slide down, and those moved. That's when it's placed. And now we're left with 3 pieces still. You got 4 pieces. Obviously going to be 3 or more. And so this one, corners match the front, is going to go into the green direction. So away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And that works where with larger cubes, you're just using one cube. You just pick the piece that you want to move, and the 2 pieces, all right, my corners are done. Pick a piece that wants to move. Here's a white and blue. Okay. Yellow and white are left and right. Bring the corners to match the front. Okay. So I'm looking only at this piece, and it wants to land in this side. The blue and white wants to land between the blue and white something corners, so it's going this side. So this is my first column, and this is my second column, and ignore everything else. So slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. Okay, and this piece is placed. Most people who do anyone who does the reduction method will, instead of placing, will have already done the centers because they're working inside out, and then they'll place the edges together. That has never made sense to me, to place the edges and then, first of all, okay, so let's take this piece right here, this white and this green. Okay, I can either say, okay, look at the cube and find the other white and green piece that's in that exact position, and then I can pair them up without messing up my centers, and then after I have all of them paired, then you place them as if it were like a 3x3. The looking for the cube seems to me to be a waste of time. And pairing them together and then separate, and then placing them appears to me to be an extra step, when instead I just take this piece and place it where it wants to be, and when I find the other piece, I'll place it there, and they'll be placed. But I'm not taking my time to look for that piece. I'm just going to say, okay, it's going in the right direction. Corners match the front. So here's my first column. Here's my second column, and I place this piece. And instead of looking for specific pieces, I just find a piece that's not in the right place and throw it in its direction, and they match themselves up. So, again, formula: top row outside columns, outside columns does corners, outside and inside will do edges, and 2 insides we'll move center pieces. And I'm going to demonstrate that real quick. Here's a white piece. Okay, it wants to land on the white side, which is going to be this corner. So the 2 columns I'm not using the outside columns because it's working on the inside. So this is the piece. So this is one of my columns. Okay, I'm going to move it to the top. And then then I rotate the top so that this is in a different column. If I go this way, it's the same column, so I don't want to do that. So the cube itself dictates what has to happen. So I go over this way. This is the way I do my horizontal, and then this is my second column, up. And then I reverse it back down, up, down, and that cube is placed where it wants to be. So, that's it. That's the long and short of it. Thank you for joining me, you guys. I so missed I so missed my streaming when I was away from my computer. So thank you so much for coming back to me. You guys all go have a great day. Be nice to yourself. Drink water. I will be back tomorrow morning. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.